What's good, y'all? Not the real Will Smith. The video earlier, I went to go edit it. I'm like, alright, I'm gonna upload this to YouTube at 9 p.m. Right? But my biggest issue with recording, my juice almost fell. My biggest issue with recording is like I like to record like this as opposed to like this. So when I went to go edit it on iMovie, it cropped out my head. And everything else was on point. I had my tripod set and everything, and I was explaining to you guys what happened to the vehicle. But because you couldn't see my head, I didn't think that was good like presentation as far as me talking face to face with you guys. And I know that you guys want to see my face more as opposed to me just showing the vehicle, even though this is an auto channel. But we're gonna go on a little drive because again, I can't sleep. Alright, y'all, so I'm pretty much about to head to the car wash, talk to you guys for a little bit, just because I don't want to be in a low-lit area when I'm talking to you guys. And it's, 2 in the morning, and I apologize in advance if it's blurry, kind of hard for it to really adjust at night. This is like an iPhone. Not saying it can't, it's just, that's my phone. But pretty much, like I said earlier, I had the video shot, and I was about to go and edit it, and sorry, it's the low life right here, so I always gotta cut this hard angle. Always gotta cut this hard angle in my complex so that my bumper doesn't just, drag on the ground. I shot the video, I go to put it on iMovie, and I'm going to go edit it, and then I get myself cropped out just because I didn't have it within what I call it hamburger mode. Just like this as opposed to like this. So, I gotta eat that. Car is loud, again, I got a straight pipe. So, I apologize in advance for that. So, I go to Florida. Well, today is actually Tuesday technically because it's nighttime. But I go to Florida this past Wednesday, so last week. And I had to go out there to go handle some stuff with the police department. I'm trying to get into law enforcement. I already graduated and stuff. And I plan on coming back in 2 days, go take the testing, come back about Friday, go to work that last day, and just enjoy my weekend, right? Because it wasn't a trip for pleasure. But what happened was, as soon as I got to Florida, I usually stay with my friend Hash Brown, just so I don't gotta pay for hotels and all of that. It's just cheaper. I got in Tuesday night. I left around 5 p.m. that afternoon, and I got to Florida. It's from North Carolina, and got to Florida around 3 in the morning, so it wasn't too bad of a drive, and I stopped a few times for gas and food and stuff. As soon as I got into Hash Brown's complex, my brakes were acting a little funny, like a little, I don't know, rubbing sound, like a but it wasn't really loud. So I'm just thinking like, oh, the brakes are hot, maybe I was braking hard or whatever the case may be, right? But it wasn't that. So I slept for a few hours. I woke up around 6:30, 7 because I had to be at the place to take this test at 7:30. And I get in my car, I come out of the complex, and I'm about to get on the main road, and I hear the sound, and as I sped up, the sound, it got louder and louder. And I was like, well, I'm just gonna baby the car to the place, and then when I come back to Hash Brown's apartment, I'm just gonna get somebody to look at it because I didn't know anybody in Florida. I was just gonna call a mobile mechanic. But like I said, as I was driving and the sound got louder, and I'm just like trying to ignore it. It got to the point where the rear of the car, so this is the brake system in the back. I have drum brakes in the back. All I heard was a loud pop. And it was a metal sound, and I was like, dang, did something get caught in my rim and just like pop out of it? I didn't know what happened. All I knew is that when I went to brake, after I heard the sound, I didn't have any braking power. I wasn't able to like slow down. And I tried to use my emergency brake, but that didn't work either. So what I did was I had coasted the car, pushed on the brake really hard, and it gripped a little bit, but I'm just assuming, well, now I know that it had a little bit of brake fluid left, and the only thing that was really slowing down the car, besides me like going left and right and using the tires themselves, was the brakes in the front. I have drilled and slotted rotors, and the pads were doing something, you know. So at first I didn't notice at first. All I did was turn back around and I went back to Hash Brown's complex, and I just asked Hash Brown to take me to this test, because again, it wasn't safe to drive the car. So I got back from the test, and then the following day, which was about Thursday, I had some more testing, but I just didn't go to it. I went and handled my vehicle, which is okay. I looked at my vehicle and I was wondering, I'm like, if it lost brake pressure, it probably doesn't have brake fluid. So I'm looking around, I did some research on YouTube, and then come to find out, a lot of YouTubers said that it could just be a master cylinder, just a leak in the brake system. So look there first. It could be internal or external. So I looked outside, of course, and I looked at my rims. It was my rear rim, and that's when I saw that it was leaking a lot of fluid, like over the rim and everything. So I got under the car, I jacked it up a little bit, and I went to go look. We're actually here, y'all, and I seen like this big like hole in the back of my backing plate. So it's the drum itself, and then the backing plate, and the backing plate had like a really big like dent. And I was like, dang, where were we, y'all? So the backing plate, right? So the drum brake was fine, it wasn't fine, but it wasn't the one that was bent. The backing plate, which is the back side of the drum, that had like a huge like dent in it, and it caused this other piece that I don't even know what it is to fall out. All I knew was a piece was missing, because obviously it caused a big enough hole to come out, and that the drum itself was leaking. So I just equated that with the master cylinder being defective or broken. So it was a whole day later, like I told you guys. Friday was when the mobile mechanic was able to come, and I've called a whole just slew of mechanics just to come out there and to see just what the problem was. I was scared to drive it. I didn't want to drive it. I didn't want to make it worse. The mechanic came out there. He replaced the drum, he replaced the cylinder, and he replaced all the hardware. He was certified and stuff, so I'm glad that he was able to tell me that. He was an honest mechanic. Fast forward to Sunday, because now when he actually came out, this was a 2-day job. I didn't have all the parts, so he worked on it Friday and Saturday. And I'm going to leave Sunday morning. So I leave Florida Sunday. I'm about maybe an hour and a half into my drive. I was driving from Orlando, and I hit Jacksonville. So I'm on 95, everything's fine. All of a sudden, I'm thinking like my bumper fell off and hit the ground, because my bumper has like these quick disconnects where it's just, you know, it's just easier for me to take them off. It wasn't that, because as I kept driving, I started to smell rubber. And I didn't really feel the car pull to the left or right. I just heard a loud noise, and I smelled rubber. So I was like, dang, I hope it's not a tire. So I pull over to the left side of the highway. There was no median. It was just like a little bit of the highway, just a little bit of the shoulder, just enough for my car to pull over. And I get out and come to find out that I have a flat on the right-hand side of the car. So I'm pretty much like bodies out facing traffic while I'm looking at this tire, and I'm wondering, where did my lug lock go? So I'm looking all over for the car, because I couldn't find it for like the past month. And luckily I find it, and it was in my trunk. I put it back into my glove box where it belongs, my spare, and then that was that. Yeah, so this is the handy dandy spare. Almost looks like a full-size tire, to be honest. I got this from like those salvage lots, I think, where the cars get totaled. And I bought it for 40 bucks. It was like a literally brand new spare. So it came off of a 2010 Corolla. I was able to pull this spare tire right out of their trunk and bought it. I'm glad I did, because my tire, my spare that came with my car, it was just, I've used it to the point where it started to rip at the sides right here, right at the top, and it just wasn't usable anymore. This one is fine. It's Firestone, but again, you can't really drive it like that for that long. So I do plan on replacing it, getting an actual tire mounted on there this week, hopefully. It might be another used tire, and that was the other issue. I just wasn't thinking, threw on the used tire, forgot about it, and then I go 612 miles to Florida with a used tire. You don't know how long it's been on the prior vehicle. You're not paying attention to the tire wear or the cracks or anything, and it blew from the sidewall. Yeah, welcome to my messy trunk. Don't know if y'all can see that. The sidewall got all types of jacked up. I don't want to take it all the way out. I'll post a picture up here so that you guys can see. It's pretty bad. The tire was pretty hot. I was driving, you know, fairly quickly between 85 and 95 miles an hour. So, you know, it was bound to happen. But that's what my ass get. Yeah, pretty much, I mean, that was it. So, I mean, I had a rough time with my vehicle. She wanted to just give me hell. But it's all good. You know, I love her regardless. It's a great vehicle, 270,000 miles. Haven't had any major mechanical issues. But I will explain the issues that I did have in a future video. But I'm about to put you guys back in the past. It's nighttime. We're about to go back to the daytime. Oh yeah, and one more thing. Make sure y'all subscribe. Not the real Will Smith. Y'all go follow me on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, humble_business. Make sure y'all support so I can get this new tire.